Hi, I'm Martina. Welcome to Magnetic Clarity. I'm a kinesiologist. I use tarot to explore downloads that will help us cultivate the life we want. Hi guys, so today I thought we would look at Queen of Swords energy. Sometimes we just need to take a leaf out of her book, don't we? Sometimes we just need to get a little bit ruthless about our lives, but it's from an empowered state always, right? So we can get stuck in the weeds a lot in sort of everyday life, and it's about trying to sever and cut away what it is that's not serving us anymore. And it's about putting those boundaries around our energy field, number one, and number two, setting our intentions with complete clarity and with, strength and power. And sometimes we can allow the emotional drivers to, sometimes we can plummet that energy, right? Or we can go down in a downward spiral. And I just thought today we just need to harness a little bit of Queen of Swords energy. We need to just go for it. And I also want to bring in the energy of the throat chakra, because I think a lot of the time understanding our rules for ourselves, what we value the most, how we want to express ourselves, takes a lot, right? It's like we're having to stand up for ourselves. A lot of the time we can go with the flow, and sometimes we don't speak up, and sometimes we are either shamed by speaking up or suppressed in some way. So the empowered version for this for me is when your heart picks up the mic. It's like, yeah, you've harmonized it as best you can. You're speaking your truth. You're owning your story, which is what we're here to do. So this is why we're going to include this lady here. It's all about conviction. Conviction of your story, your values, your rules for life, rules of engagement, etc. So with the piles, just have a look. We have pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. I've also put some charms there. So this is a turtle. This is a rabbit, and this is a dragonfly. And I'll see you in the readings. Hi, pile 1. So let's have a look at your reading. Instead of essential oil today, I'm actually going to use just a blend I made for myself. It's predominantly eucalyptus, and it's infused with throat chakra crystals and also some flower essences, and so that will help me tune in today. So yeah, let's see what your cards have to say. Eucalyptus is great for clearing the senses, right? And if we feel congested in any sort of way, and it just clears that airway. And sometimes when we're we've got a bit stuck in our throat in terms of metaphysically what it is that we're trying to get out. And this is hard for us, because I think a lot of our lives leads us to this point where we need to you reach a certain point in your life where you're like, you start to learn your yeses and your nos better. And I think a lot of the clutter that we collect is in the maybes. And I feel like when we're not really sure about something, or we have one foot in one part of our lives and the other foot in another, or we just feel like we're treading water, I just feel like, it's part of the journey, right? To be able to stand up and own your story. I feel like with the turtle energy here, it's something to do with the fact that, slippery little guy, turtle energy is great because they can adapt to land and water, right? And also they carry everything that they know about themselves on their back, their home. And I think there is something about a turtle shell where the patterning, I think it's like 13 sections. I think it always is, no matter how big or how small it is. So it's kind of like a message to me saying, no matter how many evolutions you've had of your story, of your life, that you feel like you might not be making progress, or that you feel like you keep circulating the same stuff. But that's just because you're getting better and better at it. And it is kind of like spiral energy when we evolve. It's not so linear. And so, and it's also kind of saying that we have our tools. Like, we carry them within us, and we have everything that we need with us. That's also a lot to do with like magician energy. So if you didn't see my last reading, maybe have a look at that your inner magician. What specific tools you have and how you share that story of you. This particular Queen of Swords, I feel like it's not as clear for you as you would like. I feel like it's on its way. I feel like you have been trying to clear away some of this static, this white noise, and it's been a journey, right? But I think it's kind of like saying to me, you are starting to come into a place where you're going to reach that clarity for yourself. You're starting to learn your own truth, and now it's about dispensing it, which is kind of hard if you deal with like boundaries and being seen and all of those things. And I think we all struggle with that, you know, self-esteem, all of those confidence issues, self-worth, you know, like I think they're universal, right? No matter how successful you may appear, etc. So let's have a look at what the cards have to say. Five of Wands, Page of Wands, and the Emperor. I'm actually going to get the advice on this side as well, just because that's what you're here for, right? What is it that you need to speak up about? What rules do you need to put in place for yourself? Okay, bottom of the deck, High Priestess. And I just want to get one more card about what the conflict might be as well. Just silenced. Oh my God, you just can't make this stuff up. Okay, like I know this is hard. To speak up is hard. It's hard for me, you know, like even doing tarot on YouTube, it's like, you know, being seen on Instagram or social media. It's not my favorite space to be in terms of Instagram and all of that. I like tarot, so I marry those two passions that I have, is wanting to spread messages about the collective and also be having to, you know, show up. And this is a fairly new channel. So, you know, I can understand this and probably why this message is important. But I understand Queen of Swords energy well. I'm Aquarius, so people can misunderstand me to be aloof, or they can misunderstand me to be like quite blunt or even abrupt maybe, or yeah, just like I don't sugarcoat things often. So yeah, Five of Wands, Page of Wands, and the Emperor. I feel like your journey has been alchemizing that inner conflict, that work, that self-esteem, that, you know, exposure to the outside world testing you. It's like you've really had to, yeah, you know, been through the wars, been through some battles, and it's like you are trying to understand what all those lessons have been and what is it that you want to share. It's like you feel like you've got enough of your story under your belt, that you've been doing the work. I feel like you have been alchemizing that in your solar plexus, potentially even your heart chakra, that you're ready to now see some sort of clarity of what your path is, what this new chapter is bringing. And it is about owning yourself. You know, and I think sometimes when you've gone through this work, it's like we do dig ourselves into a hole because we're trying to run away, not running away, but we're trying to self-soothe and self-protect from some of that outside turbulence. And the way to do that is to kind of go into almost hermit mode a little bit and like see what it is that your inner light's trying to shine through to you. Because like we have all the lessons, right? And we also have all the answers, and it's just about trying to figure out which one out of that toolkit. And you may have even got to a stage where you're actually starting to really own yourself. It does feel like that's the next step. You do have some static still that you're trying to clear away. And I think that's why Queen of Swords is really kind of why you're probably attracted to this reading. I feel like the underlying energy is you've got this High Priestess, so you probably do rely on your intuition, but you might not be trusting it either. Or maybe it's been a slow journey that you're trying to figure out how to bring it into practical reality, but also to trust the messages and the guidance. And what message and tools and medicine do you want to share? I do feel like you've been backed up here with the King of Swords, so I feel like you are in good stead for bringing your power to the outside world. I feel like you've really had to set boundaries, and probably even with yourself. You've probably had to discipline yourself with your mind, really trying to embrace your own black or whiteness, because you quite often do think in color or in the gray areas where it's not super clear. But I think you do have this niggling intuition that you know you're right. It's just that you're trying to find your communication style on how to deliver it. But you're trying to bring these lessons down into reality. And when you do, it's grounded. It's completely in its, abundant energy. You're a power source. You are a source of information that can help others. And I think that's why a lot of people are attracted to your energy, is that you do have this space or this capacity to hold space for others, that probably when you've been trying to alchemize this energy, it's made you feel drained, or like you've had to sort of go into hiding a little bit, just so that you don't, you have to learn and understand and alchemize these gifts, right? If they're super, especially if you're looking at High Priestess energy, it's not always so clear for yourself either. So you've had to cut, the chaff from the wheat. Like, it's just, you're trying to figure out what's that kernel of knowledge that you can now own for yourself, which part of your lessons is now part of your story that you're able to bring through and start creating boundaries for yourself and rules of engagement for yourself. I think this is ultimately telling you that you do own your own voice. You've been on the journey, and now you have to action it. You have to come into the light. You need to find ways to communicate your worth, your value system, even if it is to yourself right now, making like a pact with yourself, a set of rules that you will either take small actionable steps. Do you need to cull boundaries? Do you have to silence this noise first? Do you need to find out where the noise is coming from? And what is the loudest version of that right now that you can take baby steps to kind of clarify? Because you're there, you're like on the precipice of it. You're backed by owning your story, and you're backed by the King of Swords, which is a divine partnership of being able to take a stand for your truth. I feel like this is also your journey where you've taken all your gut feels or anxiety, but you've brought it into a complete alchemized, shareable lesson that people will be able to resonate and see themselves in you. And it does feel like a bit of a victory lap. Even though it seems like it's been a slow, steady race, because that's what Knight in Pentacles wants to say to you. But again, you've activated it through certainty, so that even if it's not massive exposure or recognition from others, it's that you're holding up your own achievement. You've been able to do this journey, and that that you will just be in the next evolution of your own story. Because there'll be more lessons to learn, right? And you'll just get, I think you'll just start feeling more comfortable in your own skin. I think that's where you already are starting to feel more comfortable in your own skin. So it's like you can no longer silence this intuition that you're receiving, because you understand the price of which it comes. And it's like You don't need to silence yourself when you know your truth. And so instead of hiding from your power just to protect the source of it, it's that you're able to set a lot more clearer boundaries for yourself and for others. And this will happen even subconsciously, that once you start anchoring into that story, it's almost like it happens energetically first. You just don't seem to attract the same noise that you used to. With sabotage cards, silenced. Sabotage is when you're working against yourself, right? So it's like you actually want to be silenced on some level, but you don't want to be silenced. It's like they're both true. And so that's when you can get into that sort of stuck energy. So maybe think of a little time in your past where you have been silenced on some level. And whether it's been others or you've somehow done it to yourself because you weren't worthy or didn't feel worthy of your power. Why is staying silent? Is it still serving you, or is it not still serving you? I would say it's still not serving. I mean, it's not serving you any longer. That's why you're getting this message. So you're ready to even cut that mindset or that behavior out of your own psyche. I even love the energy of the hands holding things in this reading. Obviously, you've got this, being silenced, obviously, but I feel like when you've been dealing with this conflict, it's that you've decided to take it, even if it's left-handed, if you're right-handed, or role reversal. You're not quite sure how to handle it, but you're doing the work. And then when you've come into that ownership of your story, you're taking a stand and you're facing that direction of, I'm now going to climb out of this hole that I put myself in because I need to be seen, because people need to see me. And also, like with her trying to reach for her power and her clarity, like it's just right there to be taken. And then when you take that power for yourself and you start making those moves, you can anchor it down again into reality, hold it into a balanced form. So now you're able to switch between this sort of guidance where she's receiving it and how to operate it in reality, and also be, holding up your own value system for the world to see. And that's when you get the microphone moment, right? It's where you kind of want to deliver it some way, somehow. And it could be small things. It could be just maybe you have a small business and you're trying to be seen, but there's a little bit of, this energy going on. Or maybe, for me, social media is so loud that, like I just believe silent majority has probably got where all the power is. Yet for some reason, all of that white noise kind of takes away from that space. Let's just get a little bit more clarity on actual, like, what is it that what message is it that has to come through? What do you actually need to speak up about now? What are you ready to? What have you alchemized? What is the empowered part of your story that you've been able to transcend? Okay. There was one more. Yes. Tower, Ace of Swords, the Empress, the Sun. Hell yeah. It really feels like your old world, all your... Up until recently, like you have been through the wars, right? With the Tower moment here. But it's been giving you the clarity that you need. She almost represents that Ace of Swords right there. And it's like you've been listening to your higher guidance. There has been a realization in all of this. So you almost have been a student to your own lessons. And now you're ready to be counseled on how to bring that into the goddess that you are, the Empress energy, where, these are your activated qualities of nurturing fairness and growth. It's that when you've come through your journey with clarity and power, and it's empowered, you don't come back fighting and hitting and attacking the opponent, right? You come back with it with a whole brand new perspective. And so you're able to either nurture yourself within fairness and growth or all of those qualities, or you're able to discern that lesson for others. And so you're able to take the heat out of it a little bit. Although taking the heat out of it, like, then you've got the sun energy where you're like able to, it's like that old saying, sunlight is like the best disinfectant. Like bringing it out into the sunlight is where, you know, I think it's just your time in the sun. I think that's also kind of confirming that victory lap for yourself. It's like, you know, you've been through some shit and you almost had to go through that shit to get super clear on what it is that you wanted, as we all do, you know. There's nothing more of a motivator for the human collective is to get out of pain and into pleasure, you know. It motivates us more. So I feel like that's what those lessons have been for, that internal conflict and, you know, digging yourself out of that hole. It's kind of been where this, yeah, like I said, where this energy has been communicating with you to get you the clarity. It's been schooling you in what you needed to know so that you can go back to being this abundant, empowered source for others. I definitely see this story is about you. I don't see it in terms of relationships necessarily, like there's no cup energy. So I feel like it's just about you trying to find your inner spark, what your story's been up until now, taking ownership of it and the clarity of the way forward. But it's definitely in balance and it's definitely powerful. So yeah, I think you know, you've got to get loud. Yeah, to get the Tower and the Sun in the same reading, that's almost like two extremes. So it's like, yeah, and even to get these two energies together, they're really top and tailing. It's like from silence to holding a microphone. Like that's huge shifts. Okay, let's just get a little message for... want to get a final message. Let's see if we can... One final message for pile 1, please. Thank you. I'm not the victim, I'm the lighthouse. Yes, yes, absolutely. And for me, that is really about owning your shit and like all those lessons. And so that's how you're bringing it into the sunlight. Like your energy, this energy of being able to show up for yourself and for others, like that power is like palpable and it will be energetic. And so instead of having to learn the lessons by hiding from all the wrong people and all the wrong experiences and boundaries crossed and all of those things, it's like you are now going to be attracting all those people that you can actually help in grounded ways that vitalize you, gives you this abundant energy where you can reciprocate it. It's nurturing and it brings it, you know, like the sun is like that joy. It's like once you open your voice or speak your truth is like when you start to find the most joy in your life, because you feel compelled to be part of this collective human story. And now it's your turn. We want to hear you. Okay, pile 1, that's all I have for you. But yeah, it's time. See you next time.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks a million.
Hi, pile 2. So instead of essential oil today, I'm actually going to use a spray I made. It's predominantly eucalyptus, so it's really good for clearing out congestion, right? So when we want to speak and we feel like we're either got a lump in our throat or we just are like hesitant or just something that we need to dislodge, then yeah. It will also help clear the space. It's got flower essences, so it's just energy's energy, right? So anything to help clear the mind. You know what I find interesting about this Queen of Swords that you picked? It's that she's facing the future. And I did notice in the 3 piles, one was looking behind, one was looking to the future, and one was looking straight on. And I feel like you have this fast energy about you. It's like you have your red stripes. It's like your go faster stripes. And it's like you're on a mission. It's like you can't wait to get started. And I feel like that's echoed with the rabbit energy, right? Rabbits are fast at everything. So, and lucky, you know, I feel like you've got a luck surrounding you. But I feel like also sometimes when you have a big message to speak, which I feel like this might be part of your energy, we'll see what tarot says, but you know, we're talking about holding the microphone up to whoever needs to hear your message, whether it's even just yourself. But I think you've actually got a message, a strong pointed message even. And it's like your ability with this rabbit energy with big ears, it's like you have this ability to hear a lot of messages, truths. You know, you're just very tuned into knowledge, and you just have this sense of, and you also have a sense of urgency. It's like whatever you've been alchemizing, or whatever your story is up until this point where you need to sort of take the stage about, it's like you have this ability to, it's like your ears are almost your antennae. So it's like, I mean, it does come with a little warning that when out of balance, you know, you have to discern what it is that you're interpreting. And with rabbit energy, there is a little bit of fear and hesitancy about that energy. But I feel like that is going to be your power, and potentially a little bit of the weakness too, because when you're in go mode, it's like go, go, go. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to, like an empowered way, crusade is probably a better word. I'm going to be a warrior. I know my way forward. I've got my intuition. I'm wise to what I need to say. And then there's hesitancy of just be careful that everything that you want to go after, like, just be mindful, have a little bit of discernment, because, you know, Queen of Swords energy can also like go for the jugular, right? It can be quite a strong energy, quite blunt and brutal. And when you know your stuff, it's like it'll become super clear, and you'll find the most succinct way to say things. But of course, sometimes the listener needs a little bit of sugar, right? So maybe there's something in there. I'm not sure. Let's see what tarot says, but this is what I'm picking up already. It's like, yeah, you're in go mode. Like you feel completely ready to jump off the starting blocks. But let's see what tarot says. Okay, what's been happening in the past? Queen of Wands, 2 of Wands, 7 of Wands. Love it. Almost kind of what I was alluding to. And what is the message that we need to bring out? Let's see if I can get another card. Crone of Cups. Bottom of the deck, 10 of Pentacles. Let me just reorganize these because these are a different size deck. Even that has a message. It's like you've got big shoes to fill, or big shoes to, yeah, it's almost like your energy is huge and big, and almost finding that space to fit sometimes. Could be a message in there as well. Well, I can see why you want to go fast, because you are, wow, you're a definite warrior and an explorer, or you're just, yeah, you're up for the crusade. It's like you have this passion behind you. You're probably connected to a lot of humanity issues. You almost feel like you're in a race against, not against time, but it's like you want to get into action and fix some of our collective, issues, our world issues, our world events. It's like you're schooled, you're passionate, you've done the work, you've seen it from a different perspective, you're charismatic, you probably are a good leader, or like a front man or front woman. Like you're ready to be that voice for this message that you're trying to bring through. And you've just been trying to find a way, which way to go. Like you've been projecting your plan forward. And there does have a hint of, recognition or a larger audience at hand. In fact, you actually even, you're so motivated. You've got really good mojo about you. You work from your solar plexus. So you don't need to be told twice, right? You, like, game on. And you do have this like warrior energy. It's like you're prepared to go to battle. And you're actually happy to crusade for the collective, for all of us. You want to be that person that takes action, creates decisions, works through the problem, and you're not afraid to speak up. It's like you're probably quite vocal, and maybe sometimes that can be a little bit of a stab, like, for other people's energy, like they're not quite sure how to receive you, and it's about trying to find the right message that fits all. So you have been, even though at the core of who you are, you have a deliberate message. You're guided, you're connected, you've got the clarity. Excuse me. And you know where it is that you want to, move through. You feel grounded, you feel balanced in your belief systems, but there might be a little bit struggle on the landing of that message. It's kind of like it takes two to tango, right? Little bunny rabbit. It's like you want your message to reach the most people, and it's just about finding your way through what it is that you can, how to cultivate that message that lands, that is going to... Your messaging is really important because it's going to have a few facets for different people and for different people's ears. It's like you have to just find that overlapping message that will serve the most. And I think that would be it's almost like you're promoting what could be in this world if we all just took up space for these crusades, for these world problems, which I feel like we're in that space right now. I feel like everyone's fed up and everyone wants to get their hands dirty, or not dirty, but like, we want to roll our sleeves up and muck in. We want to start building new ways, like totally new lessons on this earth plane. Like the old stuff doesn't fit, right? So, and that comes with emotional stability. And I think that's where you've been headed, and you've probably had to learn that a little bit the hard way. It's like when you have such an important message to speak and to share, it has to come with emotional maturity, right? Because, passion and action is a delicate balance, right? Because if you get too noisy, people can shut off, right? And if you take too much action, it can almost be counterintuitive or counterproductive to almost land the same thing that you're fighting. I feel like that sometimes when we're trying to fight for good, we get a little bit dirty in the deeds because of a desperation, and that's not the empowered energy that you really want to call in, right? So I feel like that's where you've been balancing your energy. It's like, how do I get all of this passion, and how do I get people emotionally for the cause? Like, how do they get behind that vision that you have? Because like you know the stuff you want to be teaching. You've got the wisdom and the lessons, and you've got the fight in you, and you're trying to call enough people to the party so that they can support you as well. And, you know, it's finding that message to allow them to get their feet wet, you know. It's like, get in, the water's nice and warm. But like, don't get in, the water's like stifling hot, and that, you know, people reject the message that you're trying to land. And you're trying to land it with pure intentions, but maybe the delivery is kind of a bit too pointed. So let's just see what the sabotage is, because I just want to see what the blocks might be. So can we have a sabotage card for pile 2? I feel it's this one. Okay, yeah, life purpose. Yeah, bottom of the deck, unheard. Yeah, you know, like you just know that this is what you're here to do. That's why you're in a rush to get on with it. It's like, and you're kind of annoyed that it's not taking the traction that it should be, that you believe should be. And so you're kind of frustrated. It's like, this is what I'm here to do. I know it. I'm here to make change. I'm here to communicate change. I'm here to get as many hands on deck. And I want support. I want to know that I'm also heard. I'm echoed. I want to know I want it to be reflected back to me, because when I'm putting my message out there, if I'm not hearing it being received, then how do I even know that I'm on the right track, you know? It's kind of that. But I feel like with the Ten of Pentacles here, when you calibrate your message and find a way to really communicate and, you know, emotionally connect the story, it's you're all going to meet around the table and find the perfect solution for our world issues. And I do think connecting through story is definitely the biggest way that we can land a message. I feel like when we come with too many rules and too many boundaries and too much structure and too many do's and don'ts, you know, like, I just feel like that misses the mark completely. And so it's like, we've been storytellers since the beginning of time. We've all been part of a village, a tribe. We've all sat around the campfire and figured out the best solution for all. The problem is that village is like 8 billion big now. So it's like, how do you communicate that? How do we get everyone together to fight the greater good? And so that's been part of your mission. So like, I'm really excited about your energy, because you're a powerhouse for sure, and that you're definitely called and the world needs you. But there is something about bringing your life purpose and the clarity that you have about it and the passion that you have for it, and just find a communication style to allow it to have the emotional resonance, so that you can get on with the job, because I know that's what you want to do. So let me see what we can get in terms of, is there any advice for pile 2 on what would be the message that would land the best for their soul tribe? Where are ya? Three of Wands. There was one more. Four of Wands. Bottom of the deck, High Priestess. So 3 of Wands and 4 of Wands. I do feel like, yeah, I mean, when you find your leadership style that is inclusive and people want to help, I mean, it's going to create an amazing tribe of celebration, community, and unity. And that it will be like this empowered little warrior and this yeah, you're just going to find your people, and you're going to make a lot of advances and progress, and it will feel like complete divine action. So maybe with some of your lessons, but some of your messaging and tools that you have that have got you to this space, how can you make it into a little packaged piece, just tiny, so that it's not so overwhelmed, that you can communicate that. It's like package it into bite-sized pieces so that people can build their resilience around your causes or your mantras for life, because they resonate with you for a reason. But you don't want to allow them to feel disempowered by they're not knowing where to start with the action. So it's like, where can you see, horizon is like an immeasurable thing, right? Because it can be 5 meters in front of you, or it can be like, miles. But it's like, how do we get to the next point in our story that we're going to feel empowered by? So if you take a subject like climate change, like that's huge. Like, where do you even start to even fix that when you're just someone that wants to help? You just have to find small steps on how, that's manageable, or how can they take actions individually. And I think, relying on your guidance for that is going to be super important. And people are looking for tools, they want to fight the same cause, but sometimes the overwhelm is too much. And so we can shut down a little bit, but it's making that really palatable. And so maybe your message is storytell your journey, why it's important to you, and then some practical tools that they can help you do your work, really. Okay, pile 2, let's get a final message to close the reading. Okay, couple. I pray before I pay. To relinquish control, I simply let loose and allow myself to be more childlike. Yeah, I think these are trying to just reiterate what I was kind of saying. It's like, sometimes you have to take a step back, because sometimes that hard-hitting energy might just be too much, right? For right now, and it's great that your wings are that big to help that cause, but maybe it's just like, let go of that grip a little bit, and remember why you're in this story. Like, when you got so much pleasure out of it, what motivated you in your cause? Why did you want to change things? Because that's where your message will hit those people. And if you're into meditation or quieting the mind, I'm sure you probably do have a practice. It's like, take less action unless you're truly inspired by it. Even if the download seems quite small. Small things are powerful. And trust that. Okay, pile 2, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks a million.
Hi, pile 3. So I'm just going to spray my throat chakra spray. It's just one that I created, but it just helps me tune in. And it's predominantly, it's got a lot of things. It's flower essences, so it's a nice energy remedy. It's got crystals, and it's also eucalyptus base. So I'm talking about dislodging. Maybe you have something stuck in your throat. Maybe you need clarity in your senses. Maybe, it's just helping clear some of that stuff. Okay, so the Queen of Swords you picked is different to the others, because she's looking dead on, right? Like, the other two Queen of Sword cards, one was looking in the past, one was looking into the future, and yours is like bang on in the middle. It's like almost very grounded and present. And she has her crown chakra on, so she's definitely very connected. And it's like, I feel like this energy is being followed, it's really being channeled through the heart chakra. So I think you know your message, and you're very grounded in it, and you're wise in it too. And like with the green ring, I do feel like that's coming from the heart. So your heart is definitely picking up this mic. So it's like whatever the message that you need to share, or it's definitely guided, it's definitely aligned. Dragonfly, I feel like that's also quite a spiritual message. So we will have a look at what Tara has to say. But yeah, so far I feel like your energy is very grounded, and it's like she's definitely got a few things to say though. I feel like she's commanding attention. I feel like she's inviting us in to share a message about self-empowerment on some level. But let's see what the tarot says. But I feel like whatever it is, I think it's huge. So if this is you, pile 3, yeah, let's see what it is that you need to speak up about, or what is it that's needing to be expressed? Like what do you need to vocalize? Okay, I just want to get some cards, a couple from past energies and then message about the future. Okay, so you have Emperor card, 8 of Wands, 2 of Wands. Oh wow. Okay. Maybe there's a bit of pile 2 energy here as well, and a little bit of pile 1, but let's just see what messages that you are trying to bring forward. Temperance, the Lovers. Let's try and get one more, if it will fit. 10 of Swords. And bottom of the deck, Ace of Wands. Let's get also a sabotage card, which is just the stuff underneath that we can't quite see. Bring that out into life purpose. Okay, definitely look at pile 2 as well, because yeah, there's definitely some repeat cards here. So my battery died, pile 3, and I've lost about 10 minutes of the reading, but we're just going to presume that it was divine and that maybe some of the messaging wasn't the right time. And so I've reassessed the cards, and I still think the message is still strong, and I think it's still worthy to follow that thread, and maybe the ending needed to change for whatever reason. So we'll just go with that. But what came out in the original reading was the fact that there was a sense that this card was calling us forward, or calling you forward to listen, probably to listen to your own guidance. And I think it's because you've gone through some pretty hard lessons. The energy I was getting from this was like maybe there has been some sort of trauma in a relationship. It could be a job. I see it more as a relationship, and I'll tell you why. Because it seemed to have rocked your world, and there was an ending, and you didn't see it coming. And what the surprise was that you thought you'd put up with a lot more than perhaps you should have, you know, and on some level it was kind of aging you. And I think the universe had to intervene and kind of take it out of your pathway. And as devastating as that can be, and traumatic as that can be, it was just an energy that was kind of owning you. You weren't owning it. And I don't think I need to be too delicate in what I'm saying right now, because I really feel you're already into this energy. And so now it's just touching on some of those stories from the past, just to remind you how far you've come. So this isn't that you're still in this energy. You've definitely moved and shifted a lot of stuff, and you already know that it was in your highest good, and that you've already seen the blessing in that lesson. But basically it sounded like, or it felt like to me, that there was maybe not to stereotype, but you know, that narcissistic energy where you're so empathic and you have such a big heart and you want people to, you want to nurture them and nourish them. But then you kind of realize eventually that it's just an empty abyss that you just can't fill. But I think what caught you off guard at the time was that they may have called it and you didn't see it coming. And now, and in that time and in part of that healing of that journey, you've had to understand what took you so long to get out of that situation, or why you didn't get to call it, because really you kind of knew that you were more empowered than that person or that situation. It could be a boss, like it could be you. It's up to you how you resonate with this reading. Trust your own guidance more than you ever trust mine. But I do feel like it was that kind of disempowered, like there was a power imbalance in this story, and it shifted your reality very quickly, and it probably left you going, what now? Like, where to go to from here? But because, the life purpose card came up, I feel it was like you had to learn all of that stuff, because now, it doesn't matter how old you are now or where you are in life's journey, I feel like life purpose always shows up anyway, and that it's always been there. It's just, it's taken our human self a few evolutions of that story to figure out what the purpose was. I found my purpose at 40, so if it was a job or a relationship or a situation that just wasn't filling your cup anymore, it wasn't in your divine next chapter, it had to go. And when I speak for myself, I think when I say, like, I was in a accounting job for like nearly 15 years. And yeah, I hated it, but I didn't get out. And you know how we just adapt to some of these, situations where we're like, why are we still in this situation? And actually that's even touched relationships of mine as well in the past. You're like, you give, and suddenly, like, yeah, you kind of overgive, and then you're left, kind of depleted. And I feel like when your life purpose comes, whether it comes when you're 50, 60, 70, it's that you don't need to retire it. It's going to take you to your last breath. So the story that you learn for yourself, I really believe the story we go through is the story we eventually end up sharing or voicing on some level, whether it's professional or, personal, emotional, whatever. It's for us to do the inner work to heal and to evolve, right? And we're given a lot of lessons in the meantime to try and cut our teeth on what those lessons are and what is it that we need to alchemize. But I really feel like because you're already in this energy, I feel like because you had the Lover's card, I feel like, sometimes with the Ten of Swords, let's go here for a second. When you've gone through some sort of traumatic breakup, relationship, or, you go into the disempowered phase, it's like you either go anti-relationships, anti-love, anti-marriage, anti, like you just kind of, that fight or that trauma that hasn't been healed is like a driving force. I don't see that for you. So that's why I feel like we needed to see such a harsh energy next to the Lovers and Temperance, because a lot of people go down that road, but you weren't able to, because your capacity to operate from your heart space and that empowered version of you, the connected version of you that's wearing the crown, that's learned how to be completely in love with yourself, first and foremost, is that voice that you're sharing now for others around you, in whichever capacity fits for you. But I feel like you have created that temperance and that healing and nurture for yourself. It's like for yourself, and it's almost taken years off you. It's like rejuvenated your life. Whereas this energy was kind of taking years off your life, through stress and trauma. Whereas you've now got a reinvigorated thirst for life. And not only that, you can see so much potential to help others in the process. So if this was to sit inside a professional sphere, think of, for an example, like marriage counselor, like you're able to, you have so much capacity for the love and the heart space, and you still appreciate the union of relationships or marriage, but that you can help the two parties see it for themselves. It's like you're not crusading against love. It's you're finding ways to heal it within relationships. So that would be one scenario where you could see it, falling into a professional realm. But it's some sort of whatever knowledge and guidance. And it's like, not only is the Queen of Swords inviting you in to listen right now, but that's your energy too. You have this capacity to sit there and welcome others into your counsel. It's like you're holding space to be heard, so that you can teach and share that version and that story, so that you kind of awaken and recode other people's Queen of Sword energy. They get to start re-empowering themselves and finding ways to shift out of that trauma cycle or trauma chapter, and bring new vest for life in their story. So it's like you take a sip from your cup and you dispense it, or it's kind of like that elixir where you're able to show others the way. Because you're creating that new divine spark. You're sitting under your own charisma. Like you're so thankful for this situation, because you've so been able to see where it's landing you now. And this is just a reminder that this is how far you've come. Sometimes we don't stop and acknowledge our journey in that sense. So I feel like you might be wondering, is it too late to help others in a professional capacity? Or like, what is that? Like, maybe there's still a little bit of frustration here when I see the sabotage card, because it's like, how do I make use of this story? Do I write a book? Do I start a support group? What is it that how can your story leave some legacy of you for the greater good of all? Let me just clarify the Ten of Swords, just to be sure that we're covering everything. If there's anything hidden, or if there's anything speaking about anything hidden. One more. Four of Swords. Okay. The Devil in the bottom. Yeah, I feel like that is part of it, when you're stuck in that devil energy where like we're feeling a bit, manipulated, or it's the lessons you learn in all of that chaos is what you're illuminating now for the rest of your days, potentially. We have a little tarot reader in this image, but maybe you do find some way to dispense the information to help others. It's like teaching them how to go slow, and that healing is a journey, and that it doesn't matter how big the step is in front of them, as long as it's a step forward, or even a step on the same, as long as it's not in reverse, and that sometimes time out is the actual answer, whether it's sort of meditation or healing, or it's like you know that this kind of toxic energy, this this has like a little sense of victim, right, where you're still holding out the hate for the opponent, but really that's not where you're at. You've completed that cycle, and so it really is trying to prevent that for others. That doing the ugly dance in a breakup it's so draining to your soul that we need to try and help people who are in that situation shed light on it, you know, and find other ways to do it. That when you're in this kind of self-betrayal, you know, if you're betraying your soul on some level, that, you know, that's not empowered, that's not this energy. Especially in a breakup, it's so tempting to stalk them on social media or find out what it is they're up to in their life, but that's just keeping you in a historical, it's in past tense, it's just keeping you in a different timeline. And I know you're not doing that now, but you can totally see the enticement of it, right? It's such an easy operation to be in, like to look back, but like you don't do that. And so that's kind of that's your power weapon, that's your power source, is that you have the ability to alchemize this heavy energy, and you've almost put it through a violet lens, a violet pill, to see why those lessons were so crucial in your story, and you have the clarity and the wisdom to see it in others, and it's just helping them guide their way through that traffic, right? It is. It's like that noise of the past. Okay, let's get a final message to close the reading. Whoa. Who can say they were around for the Golden Girls? Me. But yeah, even that, you know, that story with those women, they were all these single women and they had built their support network. Maybe there's a message in that as well. You know, and sometimes, yeah, it could be all sorts of reasons why people's stories ended. And yeah, it's like being a powerhouse for other people around you. So your messages are: happiness is a choice I make. If I want to feel supported, I must support myself. I release my need to be perfect and I center into my commitment to serve the world more love. When I move my body, I bust through all the that blocks me from my true wealth and vitality. Yeah, it's exactly right. It's like, when you're in a bad situation, it takes time off your life. It really does. It keeps you in a very stuck timeline. And it's a choice to move out of it. And it's a choice to always remember the love that we have as our basic natural state, you know. And I think your message is really about trying to be that support for others. And by doing that, the payoff is your health, your wealth, and your vitality. It's like you just feel so useful and needed, and you want to serve. And it's not in a pouring yourself down a drain situation in the past. It's that you're creating that elixir, like I said, to nourish the people around you and, you know, help them fortify their choices. So I love this reading and I love your energy, and I would love to hear if any of this lands with you. And yeah, thanks for watching, and maybe see you next time.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks a million.